Good morning everyone, welcome to our Small Footprint. My name is Nissa, and if you're new here, we are a family of 8 who live off-grid in Australia. It is Saturday morning, it is hamper day, so Daryl's going to go and collect the hamper shortly, but before that I'm going to make a quick breakfast for us. I've got the egg whites left over from the ice cream yesterday, so I think I'll make some chaffles, and we've got some lettuce and tomato that he picked up yesterday, and there's a bit of bacon defrosted, so I might just do like a BLT chaffles for us for breakfast. We are having some problems with one of the waffle makers. I think one of them's sticking really badly no matter what I do, and I think it's just that it's the coatings coming off it because they're all non-stick. So I'm looking at replacing one of them when I go to Brisbane, and they do have some Christmas themed ones, so I was looking at those anyway. But I think I might look at getting one of the stovetop cast iron ones. Anyone use one? Let me know if you do. But there's a few different, there's the anodized aluminium ones, so nice and lightweight, and they've got the cast iron coating type thing, or there's solid cast iron ones. Big price difference between them, but I'm not sure. I might get the cheaper one to start with, and if it works well, get the more expensive one. I don't know. If anyone uses one, let me know. So I'm just going to make those up, I think, to start the day with anyway. Alright, so we're a bit low on grated cheese because we've been buying it in town, and it's a bit expensive, so we've been sort of frugal on buying it, and I didn't realise we were so low. But we do have some sliced cheese left from Costco, so all I'm going to do is cut this up into shreds because that'll work fine, and bring it up to that 250 grams like I have been doing previously. So basically grated cheese, just a little bit squarer than if it was going through a grater. Like that. So I'm going to mix that through the rest of it, and that brings it up to 250. So this is a blend of cheese. It's not just mozzarella, but that's quite nice when having it as a sandwich. So 250 grams of those two different cheeses there. Now let me get the waffle makers out to preheat, so I'm not waiting on those. Alright, and then we'll do our normal. So I've got egg whites here. I think this ended up being 4 egg whites, which will be fine. We've got some xanthan gum, and the almond flour, which is why I didn't want to use the almond flour for the baking, because I wanted to have it for the last couple of chaffles of the month. So I need a tablespoon. Normal 2 tablespoons per cup, so we're looking at about 6 for this 3-ish cups of cheese. Mix them up like normal. All the dry mixed before adding the wet, because that xanthan gum clumps. So dry, yesterday's egg whites mixed up, and we're all good to go. So then I will just get the pan going for the bacon. I'll grab out some lettuce and tomato, and then as these cook, we will put them all together. And then after that, Daryl will go to the hamper for me. So I might send this camera with him, so I won't do anything while he's gone that needs filming, and he can film a little bit of the hamper pickup. Alright, so we've got some cooked, some are better texture than others, of course. And all I'm going to do now, I'm going to use cream cheese spread on them because I haven't got mayo made, and I couldn't be bothered making mayo at the moment. The kids are eating leftovers for lunch, so they won't need it for their meal. So all I'm going to do is grab a bit of the spreadable cream cheese that Daryl bought and spread it on one side into the little crevices, and sprinkle it with a tiny bit of garlic powder, which will give us some, it's not moving in there. Bit of moisture gotten in there, so a tiny bit of garlic powder, and then we're going to put some tomato on, and I'll put a pinch of salt on the tomato, And then we've got some bacon. And some lettuce. Good textures, poorly executed BLT on chaffles. A quick little voiceover from future editing, late night editing, Anissa. So when Daryl went to the Hamper, he took a bunch of footage of all the different bins of fruit and veg, all the different shelving and freezers, and the general vicinity of the Hamper so that people could see it, because I don't go and he never has anything with him, so I purposely sent the camera so you could see all that. We also wanted to give a shout out to all the volunteers. Peter said, that they wouldn't be able to do what they can do without those volunteers, so shout out to all the volunteers that help out. Also, the company that they hire the truck from for the transportation of the Hamper, the company allows them to pay a overnight hire fee, like a one-day hire fee, but they pick it up on Friday and don't return it until the Monday, which is fantastic for them. It just is a great thing that the company is helping them out with. And they also have someone who lets them borrow the tractor that they use to unload the truck into the into like all the bins and everything else, using their forklift attachments for the tractor that they use to do all that. So someone lends them that as well. So Peter just wanted me to, make a mention and give a shout out to those people and say thank you very much, and that they are part and parcel of what helps the whole Hamper to function and to be available for all of us to use. So it's like 8:30 at night and future me is coming back to do this edit, and so I forgot to do the spiel about explaining the Hamper. Now it's nighttime. We have just created a safe pen with a night pen for Lamington out in the yard. So she's surrounded by the dogs, but she's separate to them, and so she's going off her nut. But I needed to do this because I'm editing it, and there's no little part in there. So the Hamper, for just in case you haven't seen one of my Hampers before. Of course, I look fantastic because I'm ready for bed. The Hamper is $50. It's through Aberdeen Pantry Community Care. Peter and Lois run it. It's a local organisation, a local not-for-profit. You pre-order your Hamper about the week before they're due, and they have them every month. So each month there is a pre-packed Hamper that is $50. You get what you're given no matter what it is, and include it, and it's always worth more than the $50. So it's a $50 Hamper. Then they also have the barrels of extra bins of extra fruit and veg each month. It depends on what they can have access to as to what you have available, and each of those are gold coin donation sort of type things. So like I think this month the bags of beans were $1 and the apricots were 10 for $1 or something along those lines. So they're, gold coins for set amounts of these fruit and vegetables are available to everybody who purchased the Hamper. So you have access to the $50 Hamper. Anyone can get it. You don't have to have a healthcare card or anything like that. You just have to organise it with Peter and Lois to be able to pick up your Hamper, and then you have access to all those fresh fruit and veg bins as well as the pantry itself. So Daryl showed you a tour of some of the freezers and the shelving and stuff. So there is discounted goods available there, and they actually open the Hamper twice a month. So on the off fortnight from the Hamper, the actual Hamper, you can go and shop the pantry if you need to as well. So just wanted to put that little bit in there before I show you the actual Hamper, just in case you're someone who hasn't seen it before. Alrighty, so this is December's Hamper. So included in the Hamper were a bunch of these frozen meals that appears to say beef red wine, tuna bake, macaroni cheese, lasagna. There's a few bits and pieces there, a whole bunch of those. They'll go to Mum's place and she'll use those. The box of fruit and veg that everyone gets had a few tomatoes, a few apricots, a few nectarines, and it had a couple of bags of beans. Let's get this camera right. A couple of bags of beans, a couple of bags of shredded carrot, and some leaf mix there as well was the standard fruit and veg for this month. Frozen goods, we've got some chicken mince, some chicken nibbles, chicken drumsticks, some leg ham, another bag of the frozen potato mash, and there's a blue cheese sauce of some sort there, a litre of that. Then we've got some dry goods, we've got some tissues, there's a potato chips and the onion rings and a box of cereal there, as well as a couple of tins, baked beans, spaghetti, some corn and mixed veggies there. There's a couple of bars of this Lamington slice chocolate, single serves, and there's a couple of tiramisu protein bars there as well. Some chicken noodle soup, Chinese fried rice seasonings, a couple of small jars of Vegemite and some tomato sauce, a Napolitana pasta sauce, and what do we got here? A instant noodles, beef and garlic instant noodle pot, some dried spaghetti, spirals and just 2 different shaped spiral pastas there, some natural mixed nuts, long grain white rice, a honey mustard recipe base, another packet of noodles, some chicken stock and a couple of tins of soft drink. Then they are, and bread. So then there's a low carb bread, a couple of white and some burger buns. Then the extra fruit and veg this month was some apricots, there was some green beans, some corn cobs and some tomatoes. And then Daryl went to the shop. I'd seen these advertised at the pantry, the fruit salad jars. The kids really like these and they were cheap there, so I got some of them for the kids to eat, and obviously the kids that were there chose to get some of the bluey snacks as well, which they haven't had for a while. They had them in abundance for a while there and then haven't had them again for a while. So that was this month's hamper. Alrighty, it is 4 o'clock. I haven't done much since the hamper came home other than get the hamper put away. It is really, really hot today, and because I got sunburnt yesterday, I've got a massive headache, and it's been a slow day. But I do need to get a few things done. So a lot of the veggies that we get I need to do something with, because they won't necessarily do something with them when I'm not here. So I'm thinking about dinner. There was a bag of chicken legs in the hamper. That was 2 kilo bag of chicken legs. That's not enough for a meal for us, but it's a good chunk of a meal. And it wasn't frozen, so I pulled that out. And then I pulled out 2 of the whole chickens from Aldi, one with bone in, one boneless one. So between those 3, there'll be dinner tonight and leftover chicken for tomorrow. So I'm going to cook those, but I also have those couple of bags of green beans. So I'm going to do like green beans and garlic butter as a side for them. And then I have these bags of shredded carrots. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick pickle with a bag of these shredded carrots. See how that goes down. Maybe do the other bag the same tomorrow if the kids really like this, which they should. So it's 4 o'clock. It gives me enough time to get it done, stuck in the fridge, and it'll cool down before we eat them with dinner. And then I'll decide if there's anything else I want to do with it after that. But I think it's really hot. Chicken and salad's good. There's still some lettuce there. Some of those tomatoes that we've got in the hamper today, might be able to cut up some tomatoes and cheese and lettuce and have the quick pickled carrots and have like a salad with chicken as a side. I think that might be what we'll do. So I'm going to get these pickled first anyway. Daryl did take some footage at the hamper. I haven't looked at it yet. I will edit it and we'll see what I add in and what I don't. And yeah, so lazy Saturday for today. Just taking it a little bit easy before I have to get all the planning done tomorrow and Monday, and then head off on Tuesday. So just, pacing myself a little bit. So let's pickle these carrots. All right, we're going super simple with the pickles. Carrots in a jar. These are only being refrigerated, not canned, so some of the ratios and stuff are less relevant. These are washed and ready to use, apparently, so I'm just going with that. It looks like this is 300 grams. Looks like we're going to fit about 150 grams, maybe a little bit over in a jar. Maybe I'll do 2. So there we go. All right, now we're going to make it slightly sweet, because I always like my pickles slightly sweet, and I'm just going to use normal sugar because we're only going to use, say, it's 1.5, 2 tablespoons through this whole jar, and you're not going to consume a lot of the sugar. You're going to be, it's going to be in the brine. Half a teaspoon salt, and then we're just going to go 50-50 vinegar and water. Now let me find my vinegar. We use vinegar for cleaning a lot too, so it tends to go missing in my kitchen. All right, so you can use any vinegar you like, white, apple cider, malt, whatever you want. I'm just gonna use plain white vinegar. We've got flies galore. It's the weather, I'm sure. So we just had some massive winds come up. Like, I don't know if you can hear it, but like, we've just had branches come down off a tree, over the car. The wind is massive. All right, which I think is partly why the flies have come along, but we're going to do half and half. So we're just going to fill this up about half. As I said, this isn't being canned, it's going in the fridge, so it's not a big deal. And I'm going to use boiling water for the other half so that we dissolve that sugar. Like that. I'm going to grab a lid, give it a shake, mix that water with the vinegar and dissolve that sugar. Now that that's settled a bit, I'm going to top up the carrot a little. You might get this whole bag in there, which would be nice. I do have a tamp inside. My friend Analia brought me a new one, which is really nice, but it's inside. So that's a whole bag. So that's the whole 300 grams in there. And we're just going to do that. All the sugar and stuff will be dissolved, and that'll be ready to eat with dinner. All right, so we've got different things. So we've got the drumsticks, which are defrosted, which I will do something with now. And then we've got the two boneless and bone-in that are still a little on the frozen side, but they're tolerable. It just means it'll take a little bit longer to cook. So I'll just have to make sure to put skewers in those. So let's get these sorted first. Now, I like to do my drumsticks. I haven't done drumsticks in a while. Haven't bought them the last couple of shopping trips. I like to do my drumsticks with a bit of a dredge. I use some baking powder, a generous amount of baking powder, a bit of salt, and some garlic powder. Like that. And then I mix that all together. And then I dredge my drumsticks in that, and that makes the moisture from the skin sort of dry out, I suppose. That's what the baking powder is doing. And then they end up really crispy. So I just need a baking tray with a rack over it. I'm going to put some baking paper on it just to make cleanup easier. And put a rack over that, because I like the chickens to be up off the surface, and then all I do is dredge them. So alright, so all I'm going to do is grab each leg and I just roll it in the dredge, sprinkle some extra on if it doesn't quite, because it's hard to get chicken legs to touch the bottom of a container. So you sort of get it all over, all the way down the leg, because you want it to be on all the bits of skin. And then I just place it on the baking tray. Now these can be glazed. So what I do is I tend to cook them for the first sort of 20 minutes. These are pretty big legs, 20-25 minutes. And then I glaze them. So sometimes I do I really like a miso glaze, but I don't have any miso at the moment. I have this kit to make my own, and I still haven't got around to doing it. I really need to do that. And I don't have any bought stuff at the moment. So I will probably crack one of those plum barbecue jars open, those ones that are too thin to use as a sauce that I had forgotten about and I'm trying to use up now. So I will probably crack one of those open and use that as a glaze. So we cook these first with just the dredge on them, and then once they're mostly cooked through, I put a glaze on them, and quite often we'll do like let it go sticky and then put another layer of glaze on it to get it nice and sticky and flavorful. Alright, so we've got the tray of the legs done, so they can go into the oven shortly. Let's just preheat this oven, and I'll run it at about 190 to 200, and then we get the other chicken on here. So baking tray with some paper purely to make my life easier for cleanup. I'm just going to tip this one out. Now this one is the spiced mango boneless one. And what I do is I try and spread it out as much as possible, especially if it's frozen. We want to get the layers spread out so that there's no significant bulk bit that's going to take longer to cook than the rest of it. So, can't seem to find the right spot for that. There we go. There it is. So that's the two breasts split, thighs. There we go. Now I'm going to put a probe in that, but my hands are filthy at the moment, so I may as well pull the other chicken out as well. This one's a bone-in one. And this one is the Portuguese style chili and lemon. So this one is the lower carb one. Though I have figured out that I think most of the reason it's lower carb, I'm going to wash my hands first. Most of the reason that it's lower carb is because there's less edible meat in it. So like per 100 grams of this one, you're eating 100 grams. Per 100 grams of this one, you're not actually eating 100 grams because there's bones. So I actually think that the carb count would probably be similar for both of them. It's just that one has more edible per 100 than the other, but it's fine. So I'm going to pick a nice thick spot that's somewhat frozen there to put the probe in, that one, and similar for this one. Let's wash my hands. I need to wash them again after this. I'm going to stick it in this to go right through to the thigh there, and spread that out as much as possible. There we go. So now I'm going to get all three of these trays in the oven. So the chicken legs have got some good texture on them now. These were raw. The other chicken's taking a bit longer because it was frozen, but these were raw. So I'm just checking the internal temp, how far off they are, but I'm going to glaze them with this to get all nice and sticky on that crunchy coating. And of course my mic was off again because I forgot to turn it on. So we're just glazing these over that nice crunchy coating, which will still stay slightly crunchy but with that sweet sticky glaze over the top. So the frozen whole chickens are taking a bit longer to cook because they still had some frozen bits in there, but I've got temperature gauge in there, and these ones are sitting at 56, so they still have sort of 20 degrees to come up anyway, so I'll do that when I put them back in. So I've just done a quick saute of the beans in some ghee. I'm just going to add a little bit of garlic to those and a little bit of salt, and that's all I'm going to do. And we don't want them overcooked, we like them a bit al dente, so a little bit of salt. Might actually put a splash of soy sauce on them too. Just a little splash of soy sauce. And then they're just sort of a Asian-y style soy garlic grilled bean. So all I'm doing is serving basically this with a variety of chicken, and they can have a bit of bread if they want. There's bread from the hamper and that sort of thing, and that's going to be dinner. So that is another day done. So that was our Saturday with our hamper. I haven't gone through the footage yet, but I'm sure I'll figure it out and put it all together. And yeah, just another slow, hot summer day. And then tomorrow I've got to start the planning for the grocery haul. So I'll bring you along for that. So thank you for joining me again today, guys, and I will see you on the next one.